My name is Martina, and I'm 27 years old. Just a few weeks ago, I thought I was building a lifelong relationship with Bruno, my partner of nearly 2 years. We never officially lived together, but we might as well have. We spent 5 or 6 nights a week together, had Sunday breakfasts at the same bakery, and made plans to find an apartment in Oviedo once he secured an important contract with his company. We talked every day. We knew each other inside and out, until I made the worst mistake of my life. One night a little over a month ago, I went out with friends. I drank too much and was emotionally vulnerable from previous arguments. I ended up doing something I never imagined I'd do. I slept with someone else. It wasn't planned, it wasn't repeated, and there were no feelings involved, just one night. But the guilt hit me immediately. I woke up feeling like a fraud. Despite every instinct telling me to stay silent, I decided to tell Bruno. I thought the truth would hurt, but it would be the first step toward healing. Bruno listened in silence. He didn't yell, didn't insult me, didn't say a word. He just looked at me, got up, and left. Within hours, he blocked me on everything: phone, Instagram, email, even our shared Spotify account. I tried reaching out from another number to apologize clearly, but nothing. I gave him space for a few days, then a week, but the silence persisted, and my worry grew. I know Bruno. He's not someone who shuts down without reason. He's had episodes where he emotionally collapses and isolates himself. I started wondering if he was okay, if he was eating, if he was lying in bed for days, alone, angry, or even in danger. So I went to his apartment, not to beg, but to see him, to make sure he was alive and hadn't hurt himself. His brother, James, opened the door and treated me like a criminal. "He doesn't want to see you," he said, cutting me off before I could finish. I explained I just wanted to know if he was okay, that I'd leave if asked. "If you don't go, I'll call the police," he replied. He acted as if I'd shown up with a bat, as if I'd never been part of their family. I called the police myself, not to report anything, but to request a welfare check. I explained that Bruno had cut off all contact abruptly, and I needed to know he was okay. They went up, spoke to him, and came back down. "He's fine. He doesn't want to talk to you. That should be enough," they said. But it was soon after his mother messaged me, calling me a stalker and telling me to stop harassing him if I truly loved him, claiming I was ruining his life. It's ironic, coming from the woman who, 6 months ago, hugged me and called me the best thing that ever happened to her son. His sister blocked me everywhere. Even a mutual friend told me it was time to accept that it was over. 2 years of sharing every corner of our lives, and because of one mistake, when I didn't hide, deny, or minimize, I became the crazy one. I showed remorse. I didn't live a double life for months. I made a stupid mistake and tried to be honest. Does that make me an emotional criminal, a stalker? The most painful part is that I'm convinced this reaction is just Bruno's. His family was always strange with me. They never understood why someone like him, calm, methodical, from a good family, would be with someone like me, a freelance designer from a broken home. James always pushed him to aim higher. My mistake was the perfect excuse for them to erase me, but I can't accept that. I won't. I went to his workplace. I hesitated for days, but they left me no choice. I wanted to talk like adults. I showed up dressed normally, calmly, and asked the receptionist if I could speak with him. Visibly uncomfortable, she said Bruno had given orders not to be disturbed. I didn't make a scene or cry. I left. I also tried contacting his best friend. I called 3 times. The first 2, he didn't answer. The third, he said, "Don't call again," and hung up. It's clear he's only hearing one side of the story, a convenient one where I'm the unfaithful lunatic. What broke me completely was what happened yesterday. I went to his parents' house, not to beg or yell. I stayed in my car, parked across the street, hoping to catch a glimpse of Bruno, to look into his eyes one last time without pressure. His mother came out, saw me, and without even saying hello, asked what I was doing there. I told her I didn't want trouble, just to talk. "He's not here. Leave or I'll call the police," she said. I was in a car on a public street, silent. I left. Yes, I admit this has spiraled out of control, but I'm not a monster. I didn't break windows or scream his name in the rain. I'm just desperate for closure I was never given. People want me to vanish, to move on. How am I supposed to move on from a relationship that meant so much without being allowed to say goodbye or explain? And now I've received a letter from a lawyer, a restraining order, signed, sealed, official. I can't contact him, speak to him, or show up where he is. Legally, Bruno has erased me. Am I really the problem, or is it just easier to call me crazy than to acknowledge that behind this mistake, there was love, remorse, and a desire to make things right? I got a restraining order. I lost my family, my job, but I still believe I'm not the villain everyone says I am. After receiving the first letter from Bruno's lawyer, which banned any form of contact, I thought things couldn't get worse. I was wrong. The letter didn't just prohibit direct communication. It forbade any attempt to reach him through third parties. No notes, no forwarded messages, not even asking about him. The message was clear: disappear, as if I'd never existed, as if 2 years could be erased with a signature and an envelope delivered by someone who didn't even look me in the eye. I didn't insult anyone, didn't break anything, didn't show up angry or in tears. All I did was care. I wanted to talk like an adult, like someone who makes mistakes and tries to fix them. But apparently that's now an emotional crime. I know exactly how we got here. Bruno isn't making these decisions alone. I know his family. I know how they manipulate him, control his every move from the shadows. His brother, James, always wanted to get rid of me. Don't settle. You can do better, he'd say, as if I were a phase or a mistake on Bruno's life resume. Now they have their perfect chance to erase me. Even my own parents didn't take my side. My mother told me, you have to stop before you destroy yourself. Stop what? Breathing. Feeling, wanting to explain. My father was even harsher. You've shamed the entire family. He looked at me like I was a lost cause, not a desperate daughter trying to understand what went wrong. My sister, of course, was the cruelest. Always the favorite, the organized one, the diplomat who never raised her voice. She called me unhinged and said if I didn't stop, I'd ruin my life completely. There was no compassion, no attempt to hear my side. To them, I was already the problem. It didn't end there. One morning, I got a message from HR at the company where I'd worked for 3 years. They wanted to talk. It was supposedly about my well-being, but I quickly realized I was no longer welcome. Someone, maybe a coworker, maybe a leaked rumor, had brought my personal situation into the workplace. The police visit to Bruno's apartment had spread. The rumors grew. My boss was kind, but her words hurt more than a scream. She suggested I take time off, not as punishment, she said, but for my mental health. And just like that, my job crumbled too. But I wasn't going to disappear so easily. I'm not a coward. I wasn't going to give up just because a few people decided I was toxic for refusing to accept silence as an answer. I wasn't seeking drama. I just wanted to close a chapter, or at least understand why he couldn't even hear me out. Then came the breaking point. This week I received a formal restraining order, not just a lawyer's letter, but a court document, stamped and signed, delivered by an officer who looked at me like he already knew who I was. That paper weighed more than anything I've ever held. It said I can't approach Bruno, his home, his workplace, or anywhere he might be. I can't even check his social media if it involves bypassing his blocks, which, for the record, I never did. As if that weren't enough, my company contacted me again. This time it wasn't to talk. They informed me my leave was now indefinite. I couldn't return until I proved I was emotionally stable and capable of maintaining professional boundaries. Essentially, they suspended me for existing. They required therapy, not as a suggestion, but as a condition. I'm not against therapy, but being forced into it like I'm insane is humiliating. I haven't attacked anyone, broken windows, or cried in someone else's hallway. All I've done is ask for a conversation, try to care for someone who once promised me forever. Exhausted, I barely sleep. Every night I replay the conversation we never had. I close my eyes and see his face, not as an obsession, but as a grieving process without a body, a goodbye that never happened. A few days ago, I drove by his street. I didn't knock, didn't get out of the car. I parked at the end of the block and sat in silence, just wanting to feel close for a few minutes, no more than 20. No one saw me, or so I thought. The next day, 2 officers showed up at my door. They didn't arrest me, but they warned me that if I violated the order again, the consequences would be real. It didn't matter that I stayed in my car or didn't move. To them, intent doesn't change the fact. The law is clear. Now I'm completely alone. My sister blocked me. My parents don't answer. My friends are gone. No one wants to be associated with the dangerous ex. And while I'm here labeled, judged, and forced to send monthly psychological reports to a court-assigned social worker, Bruno moves on. I heard he was at a barbecue, that he's seeing someone, that he's smiling, that he's forgotten me. I'm trapped in a legal, emotional, and mental maze no one seems to understand. Can love really be erased like this? 2 years vanish without a word, and I'm the villain for wanting to understand. Maybe the world sees me as a stalker, but I know what really happened. I loved him. I made a mistake, and now I'm treated like a threat. My name no longer matters. To many, I'm just the ex with a restraining order, the dangerous one who can't let go. But I'm still here, and I still don't believe I'm the villain in this story. 3 months after receiving the court order banning me from approaching Bruno, the man I shared 2 years of my life with, I wonder if love, when it hurts, can also become illegal. I saw him a couple of weeks ago, by pure chance, in the new city where I was forced to move. He was sitting at a cafe terrace with a girl with long hair and a perfect smile. They were laughing, sharing a coffee, as if time hadn't passed, as if I'd never existed. He didn't see me, but I saw him, and it hurt more than I was prepared for, not out of jealousy or anger, but because there was no trace of us in that scene, no remnant of our nights talking about the future, about pets, travels, maybe even marriage one day. Nothing. It was like I was a glitch in his memory. That broke me. My therapist says I need to accept that I can't control how someone else chooses to heal, that I'm trapped in a narrative that ended months ago, that I'm romanticizing a relationship that's been dead for a while. But they don't understand. I don't want to go back. I just wanted a dignified closure, a chance to say goodbye. That was never allowed. Waking up every morning has become an exercise in reconstruction. I try to pretend I'm okay. I smile when someone asks me something trivial. I walk, cook, read books I don't care about. Some days I wear a coat he gave me because it still smells familiar. Other days I can't even get out of bed. I still dream about him. Not every night, but enough. Sometimes, in my dreams, he looks at me and forgives me. Other times, he's just there, as if the world hasn't shattered, as if we still exist. My family no longer mentions it. They think moving away left everything behind. My friends have drifted away, one by one, even those who swore they understood. I get it. It's easier to distance yourself from someone labeled unstable. No one wants to be near someone with restraining order hanging over their head. But I haven't contacted him again. I haven't crossed the line, not because I don't want to, because I do every day, but because I know every misstep could mean jail. The order is still in place, and if I break it, even with an accidental message, I could lose everything. The absurdity is that I've already lost everything: job, family, friends, city, all of it. The system has branded me. I have to attend weekly sessions with a psychologist who doesn't look me in the eye. I must submit reports to a court-assigned social worker. In every session, they talk about blurred boundaries, symbiotic relationships, and dysfunctional attachment. It's like they're diagnosing me with something nameless that translates to, "You loved too much." This week I was notified I have to go to trial. Yes, a trial. A month ago, I stood about 30 meters from him in a plaza. I saw him leave a store. I stayed still. I didn't speak, didn't approach, didn't make a gesture, just stood there. Someone recognized me, I don't know who, but it was enough for them to report me. Now I face charges. I could go to prison for up to 5 years. 5 years for standing on a street. My public defender, who barely cares, told me to prepare, that the judge might make an example of me. Meanwhile, Bruno continues his life, laughing with a new woman, posting photos with friends, as if I were nothing more than an inconvenient whisper he had to silence. The anger I feel isn't about losing the relationship. It's about how the truth has been twisted. Because of one mistake, I've been turned into a monster, and he's the untouchable victim. Sometimes I cry out of rage. Other times, I write in this diary no one reads. I tell myself that at the trial, I'll finally get to speak, tell my side, defend myself, because I was never given the chance to explain what really happened. If they convict me, at least I'll know I tried. Sometimes I tell myself this fight isn't just for me. It's for all the women reduced to caricatures of madness for loving out loud, for not letting go quietly, for asking for an explanation when they're turned away. Yes, I may have crossed boundaries, but never with violence, never with hate. My conscience is clean. Yes, I still love him, but now I love my truth more.